welcome everyone to What Women Want. I'm Kelly Wilkins, your host, and I'm here joined today with Kath Prior from Successful Leaders Coach. And I'm so excited to have you here today, Kath. The more that I've gotten to speak to you, the more I'm excited for everyone to hear what you have to say, because we are at a really unique time in the world, and you are a unique person in the way that you coach people through their personal life journey and business coaching, and can really help people to identify and create plans moving forward. So I know that while we've been talking about where the things that people are dealing with at the moment, that you can bring a lot to that. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for having me. I just acknowledge that you put this on, and just acknowledge that we can go forward and have a conversation to support people.
Yeah, beautiful. And so one of the things that we were talking about, and I know my generally ladies that are watching are
Mm.
are all in different kinds of careers and places in their life, and kids and no kids, and some are in Sydney and some are in Queensland and Victoria and who knows where else. But and so we're all kind of going through different things, but also kind of similar. So, in your experience and with the people that you've been coaching, what are you seeing as some of the common denominators there?
Yeah, thank you very much. There is a lot of common denominators that are happening. A lot of people are feeling quite directionless. There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, and there's a lot of lack of focus. Some people's worlds have sort of become smaller and smaller because they've sort of become in their house, and they're doing so many different things. They're looking after children. Their businesses may or may not be stagnant. Some of the businesses have folded during this time. And the biggest focus that's come out for me is a lack of certainty. A lot of people need certainty, and this is it's almost like, what's going to happen? What should I do? And because people have been in their houses for so long, there's almost anxiety coming up about the changes, and anxiety coming up about what is life going to look for? What's it going to look like? What's it going to be like? And how am I going to be in this new world? How am I going to cope in this new world? How are my children going to cope in this new world? So there's a lot of fear that's going around, a lot of fear from each person wondering how they're going to cope. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and yeah. So then, when people are dealing with these fears, what are some of the things that can be some of the pitfalls, do you think, when we're kind of navigating these things?
Yeah, one thing I notice is that often we'll look at the gap. So we'll look where we are, and notice the gap, and we'll think it's a really big stretch for us to become this new person. Or a lot of the time people are thinking quite negatively.
Hmm.
And yeah, and we all have an inner critic. We have a voice inside of our head, and it's that voice that constantly fills us with doubt. So at any one time we can choose to feed the self-doubt or build the self-trust. And I notice that before people come to me, they're often uh, they're feeding that doubt within themselves, and they're thinking, you know, what am I going to do? How am I going to cope? It all seems too much, because they're focusing on the gap. That seems to be the biggest issue that happens.
Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah, women are good at that anyway, right?
Yes, we are, particularly that inner voice, and listening to that inner critic, and letting that negativity go, that doubt of, am I enough, and do I belong, am I lovable? That all flares up. There's like three universal fears that everybody has, and when we're facing a time of you know uncertainty, when that comes up, often those fears come up around, am I enough? Mm,
Yeah, you just lost my visual, but there, I'm back now.
that's okay.
Uh, and when so let's have a look at it. Okay, if we stop focusing on the negative and the pitfalls and those things, what else could we be doing better?
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. It's a great question, because that's the place where you start. instead of feeding that doubt. It's about building the trust. It's about knowing that you have every single resource within you right now to cope with whatever comes your way. I talk about behavior flexibility, which is a big word, but really is about how you can cope with the chaos. And it is chaotic out there, but there's some strategies that you can do to sort of empower yourself to feel like you aren't a victim, that you're victorious. I use a bit of a framework and I call it like below the line thinking or above the line thinking. And below the line thinking is thinking that, you know, everything is being done to you and you're powerless, you don't have any responsibility, and you feel like you can't really change anything. But when that's below the line thinking, but if you start thinking above the line thinking, you think, you know, how can I change this? I can be responsible. Maybe things are happening out there that I can't control, but there's things that I can influence, and I'm going to focus on those. And one of the biggest things that I say, whenever there's uncertainty in the world, we have two drivers that drive us. And it's when there's uncertainty, we can balance that by creating our own certainty. So that would look, can I share with you what that would look like, if that would be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm a big believer in daily routines that have you, empower you. So share with me, what do you do?
It's exactly right. It's putting structures in, putting your own habits, putting your own routine. So stacking powerful habits that are going to create you feeling awesome, you feeling empowered, but creating certainty. So I might share with you what I do each morning is I get up and I go for a bushwalk every morning. It doesn't matter what happens. I get up and I go for a bushwalk, and that creates my certainty. And during that time, instead of focusing and thinking, you know, there's so many uncertain things happening in the world, I actually say my gratitudes out loud. So I'm saying I'm grateful for this day, and I'm grateful for new possibilities coming, and I'm grateful for my children being healthy. And I start looking at all the things that I'm grateful for. And when you are actually focusing on the gratitude, it'll actually replace the fear in your brain. So there's a part of your brain that can't hold a fear and a gratitude at the same time. So when you say the gratitudes, the fear goes away and you replace it with the gratitude, which is such a positive way.
Beautiful. Love that. I love that. And the people watching my group know that every day I post an affirmation, or the last 30 days I've posted an affirmation for them. So replacing those negative thoughts with something positive is a great way to instantly start to feel better.
It is. And you can even power that, even just put another habit on top of it. As you said about the affirmations, I love that. It's such a great strategy you're sharing. But if you include I am statements, so I am empowered, I am confident, I am growing, I'm coping with this chaos. That's an even more empowering strategy to stack on top of your gratitude and your structure of, you know, having some routines, going for a walk or starting a day in a really powerful way. I call it my hour of power when I do it. Doesn't necessarily have to be an hour, but it's a good little tagline.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I love that. So, and then what are you seeing for people transitioning? So people that need to start to transition, because we talked about how some people are having to find new work and new employment. You know, not everyone's kind of, you know, some people are like, yeah, this is a sweet spot for me, everything's going along beautifully. So let's talk about some of the challenges and then what people can actually do.
So some of the challenges are people might need to be finding new jobs, or they might be, you know, going on a new direction, taking on new possibilities for themselves. So that's going to feel a little bit like a stretch. And most of the time what we do is, wherever we are, we notice where the goalpost is, and we just notice there's a really big gap there. And sometimes that spirals us into that anxiety and building that doubt. But what we need to do is just go, what's one step? What's one step that I can take today? What is one new possibility that I'm going to look to create the future that I want? So instead of feeling like a victim, you feel powerful. You feel like you're victorious, that you can choose one step. And I'm asking today at us, the lovely viewers that are here today, what is one step that you can take? What's one actionable step that you can take? And then when you decide it, the most powerful thing that you can do is keep the promises you make to yourself. So if you say, you know what, I'm gonna go out and I'm going to look around and talk to people and say that I'm looking for a job, and bring up a few of my friends and say, is there any work? Then you actually commit that, write that down and say, this is what my goal is. This is my one actionable step I'm going to do. But then you follow through on it, because the most empowering thing is to keep the promises you make to yourself. That actually builds your self-worth and your self-trust.
Yes, I love that. Because there's nothing that anyone else can say to you that's more important than the things that you say to yourself.
100%.
When you keep your own word, then you know that you honored yourself in doing that.
You backed you. You're 100% backing you. And that's the greatest gift you can ever do. Back yourself, follow through on your promises. Commit to yourself. You're committing to yourself.
I know I went through a big journey myself. I was a person who looked for others for reassurance, and what I wasn't finding that within myself. I was a very nice person, and I found that I needed to exactly that, back myself, trust myself, learn to listen to that inner voice as empowering, and then I stopped looking for others for the positive critique, like, how was that? Did that work? You're like, hanging on everyone's kind of, say, if they said it was good, it must have been good, no, and feel proud of myself. And so I think that's one of the biggest gifts that you can give yourself, is just knowing that you did your best, and you are, keep going, one foot in front of the other.
I want to acknowledge you for being on that journey and doing that and being that model of excellence to other people. And often it is the internal journey. I call it, whenever there's something missing, whenever you're not strong about yourself, about who you are, backing yourself, then you'll always go for an external validation. Yes. So when you're saying I was looking for other people, it's an external validation because you're not strong about who you are. And that's the journey that I take people on, the journey that they, instead of externally outsourcing their value and their validation, that they realize they can turn that around and feel so empowered by backing themselves through a series of strategies. And often it's about taking away limiting beliefs. There's beliefs that you've had about yourself since being a child, and you take those away, and then you begin a little bit at a time to feel empowered and back yourself. So I just want to acknowledge the journey that you've been on to be here. It's amazing.
I love that you coach leaders as well. And I really believe that as we find that inner strength, then we can lead others. We get to a place, and everyone needs to realize in themselves that you are a leader. You have something within you that nobody else can do. You provide that for others. And so tell us more about how you have a course that you're doing. Tell us more about how you can lead others in training them to be leaders.
Beautiful. Great question. Thank you so much. So as you build everybody, as you say, has the capacity to be a leader. And it starts with self-leadership, and self-leadership is what we've been talking about, backing yourself and learning that you are building your own capacity. As you build your capacity, the teams will come to you. And everyone is a leader. Every single person is a leader in their family, a leader in their business, a leader in their youth group or their sporting club. Everybody has the capacity to be a leader. And it's about having that strength and understanding, because a leader needs to model excellence, because your lowest benchmark is what everybody else follows. So as you build your capacity to be a leader, it is about modeling excellence, but it is about moving from being a manager. A lot of people are given the role of being a manager, and they're good at their job, but they haven't been shown the capacity of how to be a leader, which the end goal of being a leader is to inspire others. So what I focus on is to inspire, influence, and create innovations within a person and within the team. So ideally, the end goal is that they can inspire others. So I have a program called Successful Leaders Blueprint, and I do that. It's a group coaching program. It's a 12-week program. And it is about learning to back yourself. It has success principles about how you can be successful as a person, but then take that to your team and create a culture where people are wanting to be in your environment and work for you and have a common goal, a common vision, so that they're inspiring everyone. Because as you build the capacity for your own leadership, it trickles through to everyone that you engage with.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. I love that. That is, it's such a ripple effect, isn't it? You take that one step yourself, and then and I have a bit of a mantra around that too. It's like, I always want to start with the end of my life, and then be able to look back and look at the difference that I've made, and that you've been a difference maker when you've been able to inspire others to become leaders.
I love that. And it's like making those decisions that your future self will always thank you for. That's what I'm always saying to my clients. Make a decision today that your future self will thank you for, because the biggest thing with elderly people is regrets, a life of regret. I regret that I didn't do that. And I encourage people, let's not do that. Let's not have that life. Let's start living consciously now, like live on purpose. Live intentionally, live the life you would like to be living today, but you make that choice to do that.
Now, I also believe in the compound effect. So what you're doing a little bit each day is going to make that difference over a long term. And you make the 2 millimeter shift now, and that can make the difference. Whether if you're on a train heading towards Perth, and you take that 2 millimeter shift, you could end up in Kalgoorlie,
yeah.
So do you have any tips in terms of taking those 2 millimeter shifts that people can take, books or little things that they could be doing now?
Yeah, totally. Definitely. Good question. The biggest thing that I say is say yes and figure out how. That's my statement for everything. Take that on. I give you that gift. It will change your life. So a lot of people are waiting for the time where they're going to feel okay, or they're going to feel right. And it's magical thinking. Most of the time, if we're going to make a change, we've got to get to the edge of our comfort zone. And when we get to the edge of our comfort zone, most people feel a bit icky, and they don't want to grow because they're thinking growth makes me feel uncomfortable. But the biggest gift I can give to you is when you get to the edge of your comfort zone and it feels a bit icky, lean into that, say yes and figure out how, and say to yourself, what, this ickiness is growth, and I'm going to be excited, because you have the power to change that uncomfortable feeling to excitement, and give it the word growth, and you will up level your life. And if you also take on, if I'm growing 1% every day, how phenomenal is that in a year? If it's just 1% every single day, then wow, it's like phenomenal, 365% growth.
Yeah.
If you can have that. But it's just constantly moving in the right direction. And I always say, just keep going forwards. That's one of my mantras. And, just keep going forwards. Wherever you are, keep going forward. You don't have to set yourself up, like with this, I've got to be, at 100 if I'm only just starting the journey at 1. Tomorrow you wake up, like you said, 2 millimeters, or you wake up and I'm going to get to 2, and then I'm going to get to 3, and I'm going to build on that. And when you do that, the neurology in your brain grows, because we have neural pathways, and we need the pathways to grow to become the new person that we are being. Yes. So if we're going to have growth, we need to have consistent growth, just little bits of progress every day. So yeah, that's what I say. One of my mantras, say yes and figure out how, is the biggest gift, because you're looking for possibilities, you're looking for growth.
I love that your course is 12 weeks, because it can take people on that journey. And a lot of people need, don't we all need that accountability, need that hand holding at the beginning, that coaching and that support, so that we can actually not freak out and back out. We can say yes, get in there. Okay, now what's next? So that's very, very exciting. Tell us how do people, I guess in leader, let's go up the next rank now, level of thinking. And you're in a leadership role, maybe you're a business person, or, you want to go the next level again. So what can you offer that has people kind of, all right, I want to stretch now. Where are we going?
Beautiful. Well, everything starts with our thinking. Our thinking affects everything. Most people think, I'm just going to change my behavior. But if you change your behavior, it'll only last for a short amount of time. You've got to think about your thinking, about your identity, about your beliefs. So it's about focusing on your thinking. And I do a lot of work with people and come up with what is their thinking and what style of thinking they have. And I show them maybe this is what they lean on. Like, so they may be able to think about, the future quite a lot, but maybe they're not someone that puts structures in, or maybe they're like a dynamo. A lot of people are dynamos. They keep doing the action, but they don't really know where they're going. So they need like a bit more strategies and strategic thinking brought into it. So most things to up level or to grow or go forward is about changing your thinking, but it's also about building your capacity and believing in yourself. And most of the time our brain just sees a black spot on the white page, and we'll constantly go to the same answer or the same solution. But that's where I come in. I'm always looking at the white page. What have we deleted? Because to be a leader, to be any person thinking, we have 2 million pieces of information at any time coming into us, and we actually delete a lot of information. We only chunk it to about 7 chunks of information. And if we want to solve a problem and we can't solve it, often we've deleted that information already. I love a quote from Einstein. Einstein says you can't solve a problem using the same thinking that's created it. Yes. And a lot of people are trying to force themselves to find the solution, but they've deleted that information. So I like to sort of get people to think strategically and bring back some of the information that they've deleted, and that will help them to go forward.
Fantastic. I love that. So I know people have been listening, and if you've been smart, you might have taken some notes, because you've been saying absolute gold. And so tell us how we can find you. What if people want to get in touch and they want, they've heard what you said and like, yes, I want more of Kath, where can we find you and what do you offer?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that opportunity. So my website is successfulleaderscoaching.com. You can also find me on kathprior.com.au. And whoever's been listening on this call, I'd like to offer the first 3 people that would like to find out about their thinking, I'd like to offer them a free successful leaders thinking profile. So it'll actually be a report that I can give them about how they think, and they can have a free half-an-hour unpack. They can go onto my website for that and see if they can automatically, it'll be downloaded if you go into successfulleaderscoaching.com.au. So if they'd like to do that, I'm happy to do a free unpack for the first 3 people that would like to find out how they can change their life by changing their thinking and up level, see their potential. And also they can contact me by phone. My phone number is 0432 685887. There's another way if someone wants to just call me directly or text message me directly. I'm available, and I'd love to support. What I love is to see someone go on that journey, be on that journey together, to unleash and empower and just find their potential, overcome any stretches that have been holding them back, and just keep going forward and build their capacity to be a great leader, but build their potential and capacity just to enjoy life and to feel good and to feel empowered.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. We will put all your links in the chat underneath, and actually in a separate post, so people can easily find that as well. So I'm super excited about that. Now, you are a fan of Arbonne. So
yes, I am.
Tell us, what are your favorites? What do you love?
Oh, I love so many things of Arbonne, but I do love the primer, and I brought it. I've actually got it close by with me, actually. I love 2 things. Is it okay if I share 2 things?
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Okay, because we talked about having habits. One of my habits at the end of the day, just to give myself some self-love, is to have a beautiful bath every day. So I have beautiful oils from Arbonne, which I love, and I always depends on my day if I want to put some lavender and some harmony, some focus, just depends. That's a gift I give myself, so I love that. And in the morning, my gift to myself is putting on my primer, so just feel like I've got very great start.
Look how beautiful your skin looks. Yeah, no wonder.
I love the products.
You speak all my language, and what I always tell people, when you start with self-love, when you start just with something even as simple, I love that you have a bath and you put your oils in there, and it could be for other women, it could be putting on makeup, it could be doing your hair, it could be but your skin is a breathing, living organism, so you need to really look after that so it doesn't dry out and then want to run away on you. taking care of yourself shows that you are important to you. And if you're not doing that, if you're giving yourself all to other people all the time, and you just, you actually are not a giver as much as you think you are. You can't put on someone else's oxygen mask if you haven't put on your own first, because if you're gone, who's there to really look after them? Right?
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I say make yourself a priority. Put yourself first on the to-do list.
Yes. Yeah. And so for a lot of our women out there who are listening, who are, I don't have time. At the end of the day, I just want to fall into bed, and I can't even be bothered, washing my face or whatever. I'm like, okay, then reassess, because the time that you're spending, you're not giving back to you. And Stephen Covey always said, sharpen the saw. You got to take time to sharpen the saw. Otherwise, you're like the woodsman who's chopping with a blunt saw and not getting as far as you would if you just take time to sharpen the saw. And so bubble bath and with the oils, that'll do it.
I love that.
Going for a bushwalk and
Beautiful.
doing gratitude. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm always reading something. So do you have a book recommendation?
Book what am I currently reading at the moment? I like Ultimate You by Sharon Pearson. Ultimate You by Sharon Pearson.
Okay, I have not read that one. But for anyone watching, if I have a Audible account, and I'm going to assume that Ultimate You is on Audible. So as my gift, I'm going to give someone an Audible book.
What a beautiful, it'll change their life. Beautiful.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Kath. It's been so beautiful to have you on, and you've just absolutely given us some gold here today. So I hope everyone has taken something away that they can already start to implement, and reach out to Kath and to jump onto one of your programs. Amazing stuff. And what you were talking about when you're talking about changing your thinking, you talk about, it's disc profiling, isn't it?
Yes, I'm an EDIS profiler as well. So I look at personality. There's personality profiling and there's behavior profiling. So I do behavior profiling. So it's like the drivers, what actually drive us to make the decisions. Like some people won't make decisions because of a certain driver. They just want to be really comfortable and they love comfort, so they won't make a decision. Or other people worry about being liked, and then they're not sure that there's a big driver about being liked. Some people like to be right and some people like to win. And yes, I do behavior profiling. That sort of helps you understand a little bit more about yourself as well.
Yeah. Well, look, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I hope people take up, especially reach out and grab your strategy session. 3 people can win that strategy session. So don't miss out on that, guys. Reach out. You just have to put a note in the chat while you're watching and say, me, I'm here, I'm ready, I want this. Or reach out to me personally, or message to Kath Prior at kathprior.com.au and grab hold of that. So thank you again. You are amazing. I can't wait to work with you some more. And so
thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight, and lovely speaking with your audience. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Stay well. Be well.